Potrivit raportului, rămânem singura țară din Europa de Est unde mediul de lucru pentru jurnaliști este considerat satisfăcător. De-a lungul anilor am atins și poziții mai înalte. Cel mai bun rezultat a fost înregistrat în 2023, când am ajuns pe locul 28, depășind țări precum Austria, Spania și Belgia. Totuși, revenirea pe locul 31 în acest an marchează sfârșitul perioadei de regres din ultimii 2 ani. Performanța ne plasează mult înaintea unor state cu democrații consolidate sau cu influență majoră, cum ar fi România, care se află pe locul 48, Ucraina, situată pe poziția 55, dar și Italia sau Statele Unite ale Americii, care au coborât pe locurile 56 și respectiv 64. Țările nordice și baltice continuă să domine ierarhia globală, cu Norvegia pe primul loc, urmată de Olanda și Estonia. La polul opus, cele mai restrictive regimuri pentru presă rămân cele din Coreea de Nord și Eritreea, în timp ce Rusia stagnează în zona roșie a clasamentului, pe poziția 172. De altfel, autorii documentului avertizează asupra contextului global alarmant, semnalând că scorul mediu privind libertatea presei a atins un minim istoric. Experții subliniază că, pe lângă arestările jurnaliștilor, controlul informației exercitat de regimurile autoritare reprezintă fenomenul cel mai periculos. Această tendință este vizibilă chiar și pe continentul nord-american, unde Statele Unite au pierdut 7 locuri. Am discutat mai devreme la acest subiect și cu Jean Cavalier, șefa biroului pentru Europa de Est și Asia Centrală al organizației Reporteri Fără Frontiere, care ne-a explicat ascensiunea țării noastre în clasament. Vă invit să urmărim interviul. Mrs. Cavalier, first of all, thank you for accepting our invitation. So Moldova has seen a remarkable progress in the 2026 index, even surpassing countries with long-standing democratic traditions. What are the key factors that propelled Moldova to this position?
Yes, indeed, Moldova is in the first place in the Eastern Europe and Central Asia region. First, the global context matters because press freedom is declining in many countries, which also helped Moldova to become to become higher in a higher ranking in the index. For instance, you can see that Moldova is ahead of the United States, which dropped significantly. It can be explained by the fact attacks against journalists have become systematic under Donald Trump. He regularly labels journalists as enemies, and it's not just rhetoric. There have been concrete actions behind this. Also, Moldova benefits from a strong legal framework. Freedom of the press and access to information are protected by law, even if not always respected. And recent reforms are closer to European standards. Another factor is that independent journalism is strong and resilient in Moldova. Investigative outlets have exposed, for instance, propaganda and disinformation, especially before the last elections, and this helps to protect democracy. I'd like also to underline the media literacy efforts, which are also improving. People are becoming more aware of disinformation in general. But of course, the situation remains fragile and progress can still be reversed.
Elle knows that Moldova is on the front line of the information war. How did Reporters Without Borders evaluate the balance between state measures to combat Russian propaganda and the need to avoid slipping into censorship?
Yeah, this is a very delicate balance. Some measures were necessary to stop propaganda and disinformation, but at first there were problems with transparency and a lack of safeguards of these measures. So we at RSF said it clearly, including to the authorities, that it's not only about what you do, but how you do it, the process. Decisions must not be arbitrary. It's very important in democracy. And since then, we have seen progress in that matter. Since the end of the state of emergency, especially, the legal framework has improved. Also, the Audiovisual Council is no more structured in its action, and today we can say that the balance is better. We also sent some recommendations lately to parliamentarians to work with the EU and to regulate platforms, also to support independent media financially.
What specific reforms does Chișinău still need to implement to reach the good category of press freedom, the green zone of the ranking?
The biggest issue is economic. We can see in the index that Moldova has a very low score in economics in the economic context compared to its other scores. It shows that independent media are financially fragile. Many of them depend on international funding, and this creates risk of self-censorship. So Moldova needs to strengthen the economic sustainability of its media. Second, the media landscape is still very polarized. Political and oligarchic influence has not disappeared, unfortunately. So we need to strengthen this independence. Third, journalists still face pressure. There are lawsuits, intimidation, online harassment. Moldova needs stronger protections against these practices. Some regions remain problematic, like Transnistria and Gagauzia. Moldova can, of course, take inspiration from top-ranked countries like Norway, which is the first country in the index since already 10 years. In Norway, there is a full transparency of media ownership, for instance, a protection of editorial independence from political pressure, and strong public policies to support quality journalism. In short, the next step is not only legal reform, but economic and structural ones.
We are seeing an expansion of red zones on the press freedom map. Beyond obvious armed conflicts, which regions worry you the most in 2026?
The situation is very worrying globally because more than half of the population lives in countries where press freedom is at a very serious threat. Eastern Europe and Central Asia are among the worst regions, with only the Middle East and North Africa are worse. What is also worrying is Europe, because even in the EU the situation is declining, and there is we observe pressure, a growing political pressure, especially on media, and more criminalization of journalists. And some countries in the EU do not respect European rules. So that's a big problem.
Looking ahead, in a world where press freedom is increasingly under siege, what is your message to journalists fighting to stay independent and to the public trying to find the truth amidst all this information noise?
First, there is no fatality, only responsibilities. And at RSF, we are highlighting regularly these responsibilities. Governments must protect journalists, platforms must be regulated. At RSF, we propose concrete solutions. For example, laws to fight abusive lawsuits, like in the EU, the law against slaps, and we've seen also recent examples in Luxembourg, for instance, where the law can stop oligarchs and businessmen to abuse of the lawsuits against journalists. We also promote tools to improve reliable information. Like the Journalism Trust Initiative, which is a certification for media outlets. It's a tool for them to be more transparent and for the public to improve their trust into the media. The message to journalists, it would be to stay independent and keep doing your work. Your role is essential to democracy. And the message to the public will be stay vigilant. Check your sources. Do not trust information blindly. In the end, press freedom depends on all of us. It's our responsibility.
Mrs. Cavalier, I believe the answers and clarifications provided will be essential for identifying the concrete steps Chișinău still needs to take so that our democracy can become a truly consolidated one. Thank you for this interview.